we're going to sort of build on what we've been doing in the last unit. And here we go. So in the last unit, we discussed different ways to describe like the center of the data, like mean, median, and so on, and also the spread of the data, like, you know, the variance, the standard deviation, and all that stuff, okay? Or the 5-number summary. So in this lesson, in this chapter, we're really gonna go into detail and see like some of the applications and the implications of all of that, okay? So first and foremost, some new vocabulary. Distributions basically describe the center and the spread of one variable data, okay? So to really describe what a data set looks like, you have to describe the shape of the data. So for example, take a look here. We have 3 histograms, right? And the histograms that we've been drawing, they only had like, you know, 3, 4, 5 bars. Look at how much more these have. And the more you have of these bars, the more you can see like the tops of them become like these continuous functions, okay? So take a look at this one. You've got this, this, and this. You've got 3 of them, and you can tell like these 3 look different from each other, right? Like the symmetry is different between them. So take a look at the first one. The first one, it might be counterintuitive, but this is a negative or a left skewed distribution. So when you take a look at this, do you see how like there is a tail end to this, right? On which side of the graph is the tail? It's on the left-hand side, and the left-hand side is usually where all the negative numbers are. So we call that a negative or a left skewed distribution. This next one is a symmetrical distribution. Look at how pretty and beautiful that is, all right? And then the right one, you see the tail is on the right-hand side, so this is called a right skewed or a positive skewed distribution. Okay, now with each of them, there is special placement with the mean and the median. So take a look here. The mean is here, and the median is to the right. So in the left skewed, the median is to the right. Here, in the symmetrical one, the mean and the median are on top of each other. They're the same. And then in the positive skewed, you've got the mean here and the median is on the opposite side. So just remember that the median is always on the opposite side of the tail, okay? All right. So here, these are important. When a distribution is symmetrical, the mean and the median are close together, okay? In a skewed distribution, the mean is located closer to the tail than the median. So take a look here. The mean is always closer to the tail. All right? Okay, so let's talk about a couple of things. Okay, remember how we talked about outliers? These are like scores that are like really, really far from the median or the mean. The median is not as affected by these as some of the other things. So we call it a resistant statistic, right? Because even if you add an outlier, the median, which is the middle of the data, stays where it is. So it can resist minor changes like that. The mean is more affected by an outlier. So for example, if everybody has scores in the 80s and one person scored in the 20s, the mean will be definitely affected by that, right? So we call that a non-resistant statistic because it can't resist that change. Okay, standard deviation also affected, so it's a non-resistant statistic. Why do we care about that? If you have outlier, okay, so if everybody's scores were in the 80s and you graph them, the graph will look something like this. It will be symmetrical, okay? But let's say everybody's scores were in the 80s and one person got a 20, right? Then things will be skewed a little bit. The standard deviation will be higher, the mean and the median, will be different. So depending on how the data looks, we have different ways of describing the data, okay? So for example, you might not use standard deviation to describe one graph, but you might use it to describe another graph. Okay, so this is important here. This box is important. To choose how to talk about data, okay, here's what you have to look at. If the distribution is symmetrical, then you use the mean and the standard deviation. Underline that. If the distribution is skewed, use the 5-number summary. Okay? All right, so go ahead and take out your calculators, please. Okay, where are the calculators? So this page here will tell you how to create a histogram, right? So we are gonna do one together. Let's go ahead and do one together. Okay, so we're gonna use the instructions here, but we're going to basically do a histogram for these lab grades right here. Okay, so first step there, right, is open a new spreadsheet. So you guys now know how to open up a new spreadsheet. Go ahead and do that now. And what you're going to do is you're going to put in the data from here. Okay, so go ahead and do that now. Okay, so next what I need you to do is, first of all, if you do Control-7, it takes you all the way up to the, to the top of the column.
I just dropped my calculator, it went out.
Okay, so do it again. So go ahead and put your cursor here, and we're just gonna label this. Okay, label the column, whatever you want. You could just do A. I'm just gonna do grades. Okay, there we go. Okay, now here is the important part. Okay, here's what you got to do. In order to create a spreadsheet, in order to create the histogram, you're actually going to add another page to this. So what you're going to do is hit Control, and this dock button. And you're going to select item number 5. You can also just hit 5 for this, by the way. Add data and statistics. And it will just spread your points across like this. Yeah. So did you label your column?
Yeah.
You're going to do Control Add Document, Control Doc, Add Data and Statistics. Okay, now at the very bottom here, you see where it says click to enter or add a variable? Click there, and it'll show you like a drop down of all the columns you have. This is the one that we want, grades. And look at that, it kind of sorts it for you. That's the coolest thing ever. Now we need to make this into a histogram. To make it into a histogram, here's what you're going to do. And all this, by the way, is in your packets. Okay? You're going to do menu, plot type, and obviously we want a histogram. There we go. Okay? Wow is right. So now, okay, so now here's what we're going to do. Let's do some work for ourselves here, okay? What is the minimum value here? What do you guys think? What's the minimum value in our data? 63. And what's the maximum? 96. 98. There's a 98 here. Okay? So 63 and 98. So basically, this is the range of the data, right? So I want, how about if, let's go from 60 to like 100, but I want to go in classes of 5, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. So here's what you're going to do now. You're going to click Menu, Plot Properties, Histogram Properties, You want to select bin settings and equal bin width. Okay, I want classes of 5, right? That's what I just said. So let's put 5 here. And then, so look, if you look over here, this is where we are. Okay, I just did step 9. Enter the width of classes and width. I want it to be 5. Step 10, enter the first value of the initial class in alignment. I want it to be 60, right? So let's put 60 there. That's exactly what we want. But unfortunately, I can't see the stuff above. That is down here. To fix the y-axis, go to Menu, Window Zoom, Window Settings, and then what do we want for y max? Okay, obviously not 3.45. Why don't we make it like 8 or something, or 7? Oh, look, look at how beautiful that looks. Do you see how beautiful that looks? So now what you're going to do is you're going to go over here and you're just going to reproduce that over here. So our first class was 60 to 64. Go ahead and write that in here. 65 to 69. 70 to 74. Okay, and so on. $95 to $100. Okay. I didn't leave a lot of room here for you guys. So we're gonna put grades on the bottom there and frequency here. Now I want to show you something else. Something else that's super cool. Okay. Yeah, I'll fix it right now. With your cursor, go over and look, hover on one of the bars. Okay, look at what it tells you. It tells you this is 60 to 65, and there's 1 point in there. So that's a value of 1. So here I'm just going to go to 1. Then hover over the next one. It's 2. And yes, the calculator like does the overlap. It's okay. We know better. The next one is 3. Do you see how cool this is? And then it's 4, 5. Then I'm assuming it's 4 again, 3, and 2. Okay, so this is 99. And then we're just going to do these. Okay, with your ruler, obviously. Okay, fantastic. So how would you, okay, any questions on this? Right, okay. There is no way you're going to remember the steps when you go home, okay? You guys saw the other day, I don't know if it was in this class or in the other class, like even I forget sometimes, like when it's been a year, okay? This is why you have this. I can't go into more detail. And actually, before I printed this, I actually got my calculator and I double checked this so that all the steps are there, and you need to know how to do this. Am I going to help you on the test? No, because before then, you're going to become experts. Okay, so next, summarize the center and spread of the data using either the mean and standard deviation or the 5-number summary. So you have to decide, is this graph symmetric or skewed? If it's symmetric, we use one thing. If it's skewed, we use another thing. So what did we say over here? What did I tell you all to underline? If it's symmetric, we use the mean and standard deviation. If it's skewed, the 5-number summary. So what do you guys think? Is this symmetrical or no?
No.
It's pretty symmetrical. I know there's like literally that one number missing, but I think we can pretty much say it's symmetrical. So since it's symmetrical, Which one are we going to use?
And deviation.
The mean and the standard deviation. So use mean and standard deviation. Okay, so how are we going to get the mean and the standard deviation? Well, we're going to go back. So look, up here you've got your pages 1.1 and 1.2. If you hover over to the 1.1, okay, look, to go to 1.1, you can do two things. You can either take your cursor and click on it, or I was here, right? You can do control and the left arrow button, and it just like progresses through your pages. Okay, now so here we are. Just click anywhere here. So we're going to do one variable statistics, which we're experts at now. Menu, statistics, stat calculations, one variable statistics. Okay, sure, there we go. Okay, so the mean and the standard deviation. The mean is, what is it? 81.25. 9.5. Okay. All right. Okay, so that's all we're doing today. And for your homework, you're going to have to create some histograms. You're going to use your calculator. You've got to use your calculator this time. Don't do it by hand, because I need you to practice how to do it with the calculator, right? So